A man waiting for the leaves to fall. My analytical brain didn't get the title, how it went with the film. Um, I know there was leaves falling at the end, so I wasn't really sure how that connected with the beginning and the space with the room and the chair and the ball and all the other things. But that aside, for what this was visually, I thought this was a lot of fun to watch. The effects were cool, was creative. I really, really, really liked the bouncing ball with the light. Um, that's part where the ball was bouncing and the light was behind it. It was just really cool. It was a really cool effect. Just interesting music, sound, and effects throughout. The wind chimes were in the beginning and the end, so I liked that. All around, I just thought it was really fun to watch, and it kept me wondering where it was going and what was going on. So it piqued my interest, that's for sure. And um, yeah, so great job to you guys. The filming part of it, the creative visual effects and everything were very interesting. So great job.
All right, I just finished watching A Man Waiting for the Trees to Fall. I'm saying that correctly. I ended up enjoying this piece. I thought the visual and sort of editing construct behind this piece was quite clever, and the set design and the art direction was the level of detail involved in such an idea. I thought was quite impressive. It really requires a lot to set up a lot of the sort of string sequences or with the yarn, a lot of the dynamic with the lighting and the editing. I thought it was just a great balance of light and color with this piece that gave it a great sense of mood and sort of gave it a sense of cohesion and balance as we move towards the end. The closing shot was like a live installation sort of visual shot you would see when you go to a museum. I thought that the piece had a really great sort of ethereal feel that made it feel like a full installation art experience given the approach with lighting and editing. So I thought the piece was quite impressive in that sense. Had a great sort of meditative feel that I tend to enjoy. And it was quite long, obviously, but I thought that it had a narrative intent behind that length. So it was still well designed and well thought out overall. So I thought it was well done and I ended up liking it.
A Man Waiting for the Leaves to Fall. This to me felt like a masterclass in lighting, in sound, in set display, in props, in every facet of filmmaking. Um, this whole film to me felt like a dance. And it was slow and methodic, and gosh, all of it was just like this whole thing was a masterpiece, and I don't even know how to properly articulate all of the ways in which it was just so encapturing in the most like artistic, creative, unique way that I just didn't want to stop watching. I liked how slow it was. I liked how intentional it was. Um, I thought the sound design was impeccable. Um, I love this piece. I don't know what more to say than this was just brilliant. And a brilliant masterpiece.
I just got done watching A Man Waiting for the Leaves to Fall. There were so many things about this film that I liked, that I thought were incredibly clever. The filmmakers did this sound effect in the beginning of the bouncing ball, and then they spotlighted each item, and I loved that. I loved how they dealt with the string or the yarn, and they flicked it to make that one piece many pieces. I think that their camera angles were really smart. They had these beautiful like overhead shots and then looking up that I just thought were incredibly well done. I liked the sound effects that they were putting in too. There were a couple of times where I think it was the wind chime sound effect where it was just a black screen. I think that maybe it could have been a little bit quicker because I found myself starting to wonder if maybe something broke and my screen wasn't working. Uh, but I loved what they did with this. There was a part of the film that they went to the outside where we were no longer in that same space. And that kind of pulled me out of it a little bit. It felt a little bit disjointed, but other than that, I think that they did a great job making something so creative. It was artful.
A Man Waiting for Leaves to Fall. What an interesting interpretation of somebody aging. There was just so much to take in with this film. I like the way they had the aging process move through technology, radio, TV, a screen behind the chair. We hear an Asian child singing and talking, and eventually that child speaks in English. So an aging man of our time today would have seen these things in his lifetime. The chair even ages. The wood, it starts to crack and creak, and they show those visible signs. I just like the use of all these different things that were so simple to put on the floor. And even the lights, as you see them in the car that they're driving in, some are in focus and some are out of focus, as if somebody older is viewing this. There were just so many neat things they thought of for this film, and I just thought it was so original and well done.
This was such a curious, almost kind of disturbing at times piece. I just love the way the direction played with light and shape and color, just to create this sort of eerie kind of vibe that would just, you couldn't help but sort of just sit there like eyes open, eyes wide open, and watch. It was really, really cool, very interesting, and just shows a keen sensibility for direction and filmmaking in general. Just to come up with this stuff, I just, I found it wildly creative, and thoroughly enjoyable. Just really a fascinating quality to it.
Man Waiting for the Leaves to Fall. In this experimental piece, we see that everything's tied to a chair or a throne. It's like the central focus, and we hear radio changing channels sporadically. And then we see the strings that are tied to this chair start to unravel until it is left bare. And the objects around this chair begin to move and vanish, and everything becomes untethered over time. And there's a screen projected behind the chair that shows these various images and emits all these sounds. And one sound that stuck out to me is at some point we hear a happy birthday, a celebration. Another point is more robotic computer sounds. Another point we hear applause. And then we sit in silence with this chair, and everything but a gold ball has been removed. And then we start to hear like more sounds emitted, truck or buses approaching, cars driving away. And then the chair itself starts to vanish slowly before her eyes. And it made me wonder, could this be a representation of the passage of time? Or is this meant to play on our senses because we're hearing all these various sounds? At this point, it's too abstract for me to really get a clear idea of the meaning. The imagery shifts to outside, moving as if we're in a vehicle, seeing out the window. So it completely shifts once we get away from this chair to almost like a completely different piece. And then we end up back in the space like before. So, my curiosity is piqued as far as what the integral meaning of this piece is, but it was too difficult for me to guess what it could be. But my assumption would be the passage of time, just because we're hearing all these different sounds which could occur over the course of a lifetime, but then also we're hearing sounds that don't relate to anything in particular at all. But when I look at the title, A Man Waiting for the Leaves to Fall, when I think of leaves falling, I do think of time. When I think of waiting, I do think of time. So I do think it's possibly a passage of time, but told in a very, very abstract way that is not all the way completely clear.